get that out of my car, Kimmy? You got your isn't your tripod in my car?
Yes, this is my other one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So do you have the clicker?
I don't know. I have to check in my bag. Father God, I come before you now, God, to give you glory, to give you honor, and to give you praise, Father. You are great and you are awesome. Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us. We thank you for all that you've done thus far. Now, God, my prayer is that you would meet us here. Father, we've gathered to learn more about you. God, we want to be good stewards, Lord God. Yes. So now, God, we're depending on you to show us how to do it, Lord God. So now, bless our study time, Lord God. Father, I ask that you would be with our teacher for the evening, Lord God. I pray, God, that you would just show up and show out. Yes. Father, we thank you in advance for all that you're going to do. It's in the wonderful and the matchless name of Jesus the Christ, I pray. Amen. 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 All right, everybody. Well, welcome to Bible study this evening. I am doing double duty today. I'm doing double duty today. As most of you know, we have 4 candidates that are being ordained as deacons next Wednesday, as a matter of fact. It'll be taking place at about this time. So they're practicing with a deacon. So I'm going to run out and be sure that they're doing okay. But before I do, I want to hear your homework. I want to hear about your homework and how your homework was. Give me 1 second. Florence, we're upstairs and we're in the prayer room. Okay, so you can go right on up. Can you? Just to go ahead and get started, and I'll be right out. Just to pray and then share some things. I'll be right out. So you got homework, right?
Yes.
You were to read through Luke 16, 1 through 13, and come up with your lessons learned. Right? What did you learn? All that, huh?
I'll start it off.
Okay.
A lesson of stewardship. My lesson for this story of stewardship is to care for and cherish the responsibility for what has been given to me to care for. Should I not cherish the responsibility and lose the value of the stewardship, then I must be honest to admit to myself that I did not meet the responsibility and apologize to the person who entrusted me with the stewardship. I must recognize that focus is required on the responsibility of stewardship, for that stewardship can be lost when I do not focus on what is important.
Okay, all right, very good. Excellent. Somebody else?
I'll be honest, before you pick on me, I didn't do my homework.
Oh, okay.
You keep looking over here. I knew I was going to get called.
Well, I'm calling everybody, so yeah.
I'm going to put myself out there first before I get called.
Okay, all right. Q, how about you? Did you write something nice and eloquent over there like you always do?
It was kind of rough, but anyway.
Okay.
One lesson I learned from the parable of the shrewd manager is that you can gain the support of the world but lose God's trust in your gift. The steward was accused of wasting his master's possessions by the master because he was careless in record keeping, and guilty of losing his master's wealth through negligence and shrewdness. The master praised the dishonest manager for being so clever because the master realized that the steward had the legal power to act on his behalf, and thus what he had done, lowering the bills of the debtors, although dishonest, is yet legal. The steward is now considered a friend or supporter of the wealthy debtors, and because the bills were in the debtors' handwriting and not the manager's, the debtors were the ones that profited and not the steward. So the steward couldn't be sued or held liable legally. However, the latter part of verse 8 sums up my personal lesson as Jesus conveys this parable to his disciples. From the God's Word translation explains verse 8 as the master praised the dishonest manager for being so clever. Worldly people are clever than spiritually minded people when it comes to dealing with others. Jesus sends a personal message to me that I need to keep Romans 12:2 in mind when making decisions so that I can increase my ability to better manage money, skills, and other professions entrusted to me by God. It is very clear that because of my genetic makeup of being made in God's image, that I should always follow my spiritual senses instead of the status quo. Because I am the righteousness of God, Christ, grace and mercy will be offered to me even when I don't have the approval of God in my decision making, and I will never have to worry about losing my position with God.
Okay, very good. Very good. Was that Asia?
Yes. Yes,
Thank you.
I didn't do a whole lot of writing, but what I learned is that we should be trusted with the task that God gives us, and we should be accountable for even the wrong things that we do, and be honest. But I was going through some of the study Bibles I ran across the scripture that surprised me. It says, Jesus calls us to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
And another word used in another translation is the word shrewd.
True.
Yeah, for wise. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
This is really means clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does. And God does call us to be clever. Okay. Very good. Kimmy, I didn't. You weren't here last week, but you got the presentation though, right?
Yeah, but I didn't get a chance to look at it yet.
Miss Vanessa?
What did I learn? That what I should be using my gifts to the upliftment of God and instead well, that's the to the upliftment of God.
Okay. Ruth, did you have a chance to read it and reflect on it?
Yeah, just a little bit. Stewardship. We need to understand that the earth is the Lord. God said, let us make man. We ought to regard us as servants of Christ. Now, it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful, stewardess, trustworthy, and honest. My mind goes back to the transitional housing that I ran from 1995 to 2005. I learned that I couldn't be the owner. I had to be the manager in order to be a faithful steward. And I must keep the owner objective in mind.
Asia, you wanna share?
I didn't know we had homework because I left out the
Miss Cheryl, did you? No. Okay. All right, ladies, I know you all are just coming in, but did you have a chance to do your homework?
Yes, I did read Luke 16, 1 to 13. And what I got out of it again was that we are accountable for all that we do, and we can't serve two masters.
Ms. Leslie?
I said that how I learned to be generous and responsible with my resources, and how I'm giving resources to other people.
This is actually one of the more difficult parables to pick apart and to really understand, because there's so many different comments from various commentators, from different scholars, just reading it in a number of ways. But let me ask you a question. Okay, how do I want to start this? Anybody know Donald Trump?
Oh, yeah.
Not personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know Donald Trump, right?
Don't want
Do you think we can learn kingdom lessons from Donald Trump?
No.
How to not be a good.
Okay. Anybody else? How many say no? How many say yes? I'm with the yes group.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is an excellent businessman. Excellent businessman. He knows how to make money. I wish I knew how to make money like he did, or like he does, because and he's still making money. Is making money a bad thing?
No.
So can we learn perhaps something from Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can learn something from Donald Trump. Imagine if you read this story with Donald Trump as the manager, The Apprentice. And you know how he had the business persons there, and they all had assignments, and at the end, or he always fired somebody.
Right.
And imagine somebody on that team is the steward because he mismanaged money. Right? Imagine if you read that story with those two characters in mind. People, Donald Trump as the manager, and then one of the persons an apprentice as the steward. The steward mismanaged the money, so he's going to get fired, right?
Yeah.
But in the end, the steward does come through with some pretty clever ideas, right? About what to do now that Donald Trump is going to fire me. How do you think Donald Trump would feel about that? Imagine if you ever look at The Apprentice. I love The Apprentice. I really, really do. Imagine if he comes back for the exit interview, the steward, after the steward has done all this. What do you think Donald Trump is going to say to him? Now, you know Donald Trump, so what is he going to say? What do you think he'll say? We don't know for sure, but just based on what we know about him, what do you think?
I think he would commend them.
I think he would too. Being the businessman that he is, it's like, you know what? You pulled yourself out. Now, I'm still going to fire you, but you pulled yourself out. So one of the things that we can take from this story is we can learn a good lesson from not so favorable people and situations. Because you all did that. You were able to pull out some lessons from that, correct?
Yes.
And in the story, one of the things, and I think you all said this for the most part, the steward is not being commended for his dishonesty. He's being commended for being what? True and wise. And Jesus calls us to be what?
Wise.
True. And absolutely, he does. Absolutely, he
Well, I
does.
learned something today.
Well, good. You stick with us. You're going to learn a whole lot. But again, it's not the way the world does it. Because if you read, it talks about the sons of light and the sons of, what word does it use? Man? Man. We're the sons of light. So yes, we're called to be wise and clever and good stewards of our money, but we're to do it the way that God calls us to do it. Okay? Does that make sense? I want you to read the story again with Donald Trump in mind and see if you pull anything different from it. All right? I mean, you did good. I'm not saying you missed anything. You really did well. You really did well. But in doing some research, and I actually ran across a story that rewrote it with Donald Trump.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, and it makes sense. Yes.
I have a question. What do you think the idea of Jamal Bryant when he was participating in the Olympics?
She asking questions, y'all.
He's from the
Well, was he on The Apprentice or the other one? He was
He might have been on, but
he
I know
was
there was a
on
lot of opinions
one
about
of
him,
his
his doing.
shows.
Yes, a lot of opinion about him going in because of being a man of.
Right. What did you say, Q?
No, so he was on the show with Omarosa.
Yes.
Yeah, Omarosa,
Yes,
that's it,
yes,
yes, yes,
So
this is good.
They got that pastor code. They can't talk.
No,
Take the fifth. Go ahead, take the fifth.
I want to word this correctly, because Kimmy's recording this and anybody can watch.
Okay.
So, I believe that as ministers of the gospel,
Mhm.
we have to always be careful with what we say, how we say it, what we do, and how we do it. That's what I think. Do I think it was a bad thing? No, not necessarily. But I just believe that we have to be careful in what we say and what we do and how we do it. And I'll put a period right there. And I'll talk to you later.
Okay. You came to my church many a time to preach, so.
Absolutely. I mean, wonderful preacher.
He is,
Excellent
he really
preacher.
is. He really is.
Excellent preacher. So,
He's a great-
and God
favorite
uses
of mine.
them. God
Yes,
uses
he
them.
He does use them.
And Unlimited Faith will appreciate this. God uses us even without thorns.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Even without thorns.
Thorns.
And we all have thorns. I'm not
Yeah,
saying he has
yeah,
it, we don't. I'm
yeah.
saying every person in this room has
Yes,
thorns.
that's right.
But God still uses us.
Yes, absolutely.
God still uses us.
Sorry to interject.
We're a room of thorny people, but God uses us. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna turn this over to David because I gotta run upstairs. They are waiting on me, I know. So, and you're gonna talk about work.
Working, yes.
Talking about
Right,
work
we
tonight. Right,
Yes.
right. Okay, all right, David, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Pastor.
Okay.
I'll be back though. Okay.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hi.
Glad to see everyone here tonight. For the ladies that don't know me, I'm Brother David Ellis. Nice meeting you. Glad to see you here tonight. Glad to see everybody here tonight. We're going to talk about a very important subject in all of our lives. Why do we work? And the focus, the emphasis is going to be on stewardship with respect to working. So what does God say about work? That's what we're going to find out. And we're going to learn a few things about work. I wish I had a clicker, but I don't, so you're going to have to forgive me. So let's review what we did last week about stewardship. We found out that stewardship is a way of life, isn't it? Right? And our scripture last week was Luke chapter 16, the one we just discussed with the pastor. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
It's okay?
So that makes
Now, I hope I don't be walking all over you. Oh, excellent. All right, cool. Let's do it. So it's a way of life. So how do we manage our time, our talents, and our treasures? What's important in our hearts? And we found out that we're actually managers, right? Because what does Psalm 24:1 say? Does anyone remember? Psalm 24:1. What does that say? Right. God is the owner of everything. And it says specifically in 24:1, Psalm 24:1, that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So God, He owns everything, the air, the water, the animals, the hills, the cattle that graze on the hill, and all that good stuff. Even us, He owns us. So it all belongs to Him. And then we learned something very important in 1 Corinthians about stewardship. Does anyone remember what that was? It's a very important statement. stewardship is a requirement. Remember we talked about that? How as Christians, we're required to manage our things the right way, the way God says to manage it. It's a requirement. And we are to take care of what God has given us. Basically, that's what it's all about. So, clicker, please. So what will we be discussing tonight? We're going to find out that God, the Bible states that God was the first one to do some work. Okay? Then God created work for man in the beginning. Hello, sister. Are you looking for the training class for the people? They're for the second floor, I think in room number 5 or the prayer room. Thank you. You're welcome. So God created work for man in the very beginning. Okay? So why do we work? What's the purpose for working? Okay, we're going to see what the Bible says about it. And then what are some of the characteristics or behaviors of godly working people? How are we supposed to behave on the job, or how do we work? What do we supposed to exemplify as workers on the job? And then there's some rewards for working. Yeah, we make money, but there's a lot of other rewards from the biblical standpoint that God talks about. So what's in it for us? And then we're going to discuss some detriments of not working. There's some consequences for not working. So we're going to talk about those things tonight. Thank you. So God worked first. And when God's, like he said on the first day, he created something, and the second day he created something, what did he say?
It was good.
Right. It was very good. It was good. It was very good. And as God spoke creation into existence, he was working. So would somebody read Hebrews 11:3 for me? And if someone would find Genesis 1:3. And then Genesis chapter 2, verse 2 and 3. So if someone would read Hebrews 11:3 for me. So we're going to find out how God worked. Let's see what he did. So who has Hebrews 11:3?
I do.
Okay.
By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible.
Okay. So is that the NIV?
Yes. Let me read another version.
No, that's good. So essentially, there was a command, and most commands are given how? How do we command something?
Forcefully.
Speak it.
Speak it.
Oh.
We speak it. So God essentially spoke the universe into existence, right? Words. God said, "Let there be light." Now, in those words, all the details of that light, how light comes about, is all in that word. We don't know how, right? But it's in that word. And then what does he say in Genesis 1:3? Okay, Darnisha?
And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light.
And there was light. So he spoke it again. So that's confirmation. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let it be established. So there's confirmation with Hebrews 11:3 and Genesis 1:3. And then all the way up to verse 29, it just details how God created all of creation. What about Genesis 2:2? Who has that one?
And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done.
Okay, there's something very interesting. Even God rested. Hey, so that tells us that we don't have to work 7 days a week. If God can rest, we can rest, right? I mean, that was a lot of work, speaking everything into existence for 6 straight days. And I mean, planets and stars and moons and air and water and people, animals, plants, insects, all kinds of stuff. Stuff on the microscopic level, stuff we can't even see. So God took a break. So we don't have to work 7 days a week. Okay, so we can follow God's lead. I think that's pretty cool, right? All right, so, click it, please. So then God created work for man. Okay, so man was created on the 6th day. That's why this number 6 is up here, because 6 is the number for man. You guys know that numbers are important, right? Okay, so 6 is the number of man. So this is a depiction of Adam, and we got the Holy Bible. But God told Adam, essentially, be a good steward of your garden, Adam. So, someone read Genesis 2:15 for me. Genesis 2:15.
The Lord God took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to work it and take care of it.
Okay, so God, we know that God worked first. Then he created man on the 6th day. And he placed man in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it, to be a good steward of the Garden of Eden. That was man's primary responsibility. Okay? So, he said to dress it and keep it. That means to protect it. Protect it. To cultivate it, care for it, protect it. That's all a part of stewardship. Because you don't want anybody breaking into your stuff, right?
Right.
You want to protect it. You want things to grow up nice and neat. You want things to multiply and be fruitful. And you want to safeguard it. So the Garden of Eden was Adam's responsibility. Our jobs, or whatever we have in our lives, that's our Garden of Eden. Your job is your Garden of Eden. You're supposed to protect it, care for it, and take care of it. Your job, your home, your family, your money. Whatever God has given you in your life, that is your Garden of Eden, so to speak. And then God gave man specific instructions while working in his Garden of Eden. And in Genesis 2:16 and 20, God put a restriction in the Garden of Eden. And what was that restriction? The what? The apple. What about the apple?
From the tree.
Okay, what about the tree?
You can't eat it.
Okay, so God put a restriction. I wanted you to break it down for me. So God put a restriction. A restriction. Why do you think God put a restriction in the middle of this paradise?
To see if he was going to listen.
Exactly. To see if he was going to obey. And if you notice something,
He did.
well, yeah, we know that. But if you notice something, God puts a restriction on a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So let's take money. What's the restriction on money?
Be a good student, don't waste.
That's true, but there's a specific restriction that God puts on our money.
To help others.
Help others. Now, we know that everything belongs to God, right?
Right.
All the money we make, whose is it?
God.
Okay, so what's the restriction? Huh?
To give time. To tithe.
To tithe.
Right.
So God says that we are to hold how much?
10%.
1/10. Exactly, 10%. of whatever we earn. So that's a restriction. Now, we got all this other freedom, right? To do whatever we want to with that 90%. But he says, if you love me, you will give me what's required. I mean, I didn't say that. He said that.
Yeah, so Mr. David, right? So, I mean, in my text, I wouldn't call it a restriction. Like, I would just call it like a requirement, like something that you have to do. Because I feel like a restriction is something that you're not supposed to do. So I think it's just like, I don't know. I think the word restriction is a little weird.
That's a good point, and I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So what should we call it then?
Requirement.
A requirement. Okay, that's a very good point. See, that's why I like you in this class. I mean, you break it down. So, she's right. It's a requirement. So there's a lot of requirements. So let's take, what's the requirement for sex?
Not before marriage.
Married.
Okay, I'm just asking you. Okay, so we know that, right? What's the requirement on the Sabbath day? Go to church. Keep it holy. All right. So God has some requirements, and He had a requirement for Adam in the Garden of Eden. So Adam was supposed to dress it, keep it, take care of it, watch over it, be a good steward. Don't let anybody mess it up.
It had to be the girl.
We'll talk about that. And then God put a requirement in the Garden of Eden. And we all have our Garden of Eden. Your job, your money, your family, everything. It all belongs to God, but God has some requirements on that stuff. Okay? All right, click it, please. So what's the purpose of working? So 1 Thessalonians says, if you want to eat, you're supposed to work. 1 Thessalonians 3:10, we are to work. If we want to eat, if a man should not work, he shouldn't eat.
Yeah.
That's in the Bible,
Yeah.
right? Malachi 3:10, to bless the Lord's house. So the money we make, we take 1/10 of that money and take it to the Lord's house and bless the Lord's house. Now, why do we take money to the church?
Because that's what the Bible says.
Okay, true.
To pay bills.
Pay bills. What else?
It's for the upkeep of God's kingdom.
Right, upkeep of His kingdom. It's going to, because the church has gas and electric.
Yes.
The church has programs to print on paper. The church has
Pastor has to be paid.
the pastor has to be paid, musicians has to be paid. Like us at the movie theater, we have to pay rent.
Yes.
That's not going to fall out of the sky, I don't think. So we're required to maintain our house. And if everybody met the requirement of giving to the Lord,
It come back because you put it on your taxes.
that's a true statement. You can write it off if you itemize now. You got to itemize. We'll talk about that later. But the church is not self-sufficient. It takes money to operate, right? Just like any other business, it takes some money, right? So Deuteronomy 8:18 says that God has given us the power to gain wealth. The power to gain wealth. So God gives us strength in our bodies, right?
Yeah.
We're healthy. We're all seem healthy enough to go to work. Okay? So He's given us the power to gain wealth. He's given us good minds, sound minds, right? God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So we can go to work and function, work on computers, or do whatever the job we got to do. That all comes from God, our minds, right? However, Proverbs 23:4 says, don't labor to get rich.
I know what it means.
Okay?
Okay, so I think that means like you're working for a purpose instead of doing it because you enjoy doing it. Like some people, they do a job, like maybe somebody was like going to college and they only picked the profession because they know it's going to like get them a lot of money. But then other people, they do it because they feel like they have a gift to do it or they enjoy doing it. So you don't work to get rich, but some people just happen to get rich on the way.
That's a good point. That's a good analogy. Hello, citizen. That's a good analogy. If a person is driven, if people are consumed with making money, driven, stepping on people, not caring what they do to get ahead, manipulation, changing computer programs as an example, just to try to do something to get ahead, being driven to get rich. Okay, that's the wrong purpose. And the end of that path is destruction. Because I think there's a verse of scripture in the Bible that wealth gotten by vanity shall diminish. You know what that means? If we don't do it God's way, all that money is going to go away. It's like where in the book of Haggai, it talks about how a person can make a lot of money, but they will have a bag full of holes. And they will eat and still be hungry. They will drink and still be thirsty. That's in chapter 1 of the book of Haggai, where you'll be making a lot of money, all this money coming in, but it's going to be a bag full of holes. You won't see any progress. And if you look at history, you guys heard of Howard Hughes, right? Do you know how he wound up? He lived as a hermit. This guy was one of the richest people in the world, but he was driven to make money. But at the end, the way he went out of there when he died, it was terrible. He was a recluse. He lived in a penthouse for many years. He never cleaned up. He had these long nails. He was out of it. So God gives us a way. It's okay to gain wealth if we do it God's way, but labor not to be rich. Then it says we're working to bring God the glory. Now, what does glory mean?
Recognition to him.
Recognition to him. Anybody else? Pleasing to God, to bring him glory. Joy. Anything else? Accolades. It's going to make God shine. Right? So, if we're being good stewards on our jobs, we're making God look good. Especially if we're professing to be Christians on our job. People know, oh, I know you go to church. You said you were a Christian. So you know what they're doing. They're watching you. They are watching. If you're doing things to go, if you're an excellent employee, you got great attendance, you're not being late, you're not calling out a lot, you're stepping up, volunteering to do extra work. If they call you on your off day to come in and say, yeah, I'll be there. If you're doing all that stuff, that's making God shine. That's making God look good, as well as yourself, of course, but you're looking good. Matthew 28:20 says, you're going to be a role model. Jesus says, go out into the world and teach others. So by your stewardship on the job, and the way you conduct yourself, people are watching you, and you're being a role model. You're showing people this is how you really work. This is what it's all about. And then Ecclesiastes 3:13, Solomon says that work is a gift from God. It's a gift. It's something that God has given us to do. Okay? Any questions so far? No? Okay, next slide, please. So what are some of the characteristics of godly working people? So, in Daniel 1:9, in chapter 1, there's a story of how the Hebrews, the Israelites, they were captured by the Babylonians. So they lived in Babylon and they were under Babylonian rule. However, the king wanted Daniel and the Hebrew boys to eat certain meats. And Daniel and the other three guys, well, the Babylonian names of these Hebrew boys was Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. They said, no, we're not going to do that. So they put God first. So if God is first in our lives, if that vertical relationship with God is first, okay, all those other horizontal relationships are going to come in line. Now, you guys heard of Joseph,
Yeah.
right? So Genesis 39:3, I did want to read that one because now, when Joseph was taken to Egypt, what was he?
What was he?
What was his occupation?
He was a slave.
He was a slave.
Oh, no.
Joseph was a slave, but what was the ultimate end of Joseph? What did Joseph become in Egypt?
Second in command.
Second in command of Egypt. Second in command. Here you have, and when Joseph was put into slavery, sold into slavery by his brothers, he was 17 years old. However, in Genesis chapter 39, I just want to read a couple of things here. In verse 2, there's a big statement. This is Genesis chapter 39, verse 2. It says, and the Lord was with Joseph. Okay? And in verse 3, Genesis 39:3, it says, and his master saw that the Lord was with him. Okay? And in verse 5, it says, the Lord blessed Potiphar's house, the Egyptian's house, for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in his house and in the field. And then in verse 6, it says, and Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. The point I want to make is, Joseph was a slave. But Joseph did things God's way, and he rose up to be second in command of all of Egypt. Now, Joseph, as a 17-year-old kid, probably didn't have all that education. He didn't have all those degrees. He didn't have all that influence. He didn't have all that money. But there was something about Joseph, of the way he conducted himself as a slave, for God to favor him and rise him up to the top. And that's what God can do for us on our jobs. If we put God first, where God says that he orders our steps, and that we say, okay, Lord, You control my path. God can take a McDonald's job. You start off as a McDonald's cashier, and you might rise up to be the vice president of the company. If God is put first, and I like to share an experience. I work at Costco. Now, I've had 3 specific tests from God at Costco. The first test was I had to push carts in the parking lot. Now, this was as a seasonal employee, wintertime, it was snowing hard, and that wind was kicking my butt, and the snow was above my ankles. That was in 2014. So I'm pushing these carts, and I stopped. And so my pride started coming up. I said, you know what? I don't have to do this. I can go home. I don't have to work. I'm in the dark, in the parking lot, talking to myself. You don't have to do this. But then God said, no, this is where I got you. You will do this job. You will not walk off this job. So I commenced to pushing those carts. I kept it up. Next test. They wanted me to, and I shared this with the class, they wanted me to clean some restrooms. Now here I am, as old as I am. Now I got to clean some restrooms. I grumbled all in myself, but I didn't grumble to my boss. I didn't like it, and I told the Lord, because the Lord says you worship him in spirit and truth, right? So I told the Lord exactly how I felt. I don't like it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Do you know, right after I did that job, that restroom job, I got a promotion into membership.
Look at God.
I got a promotion. But it didn't stop there. I got another test, and it was right after we had a Bible study class on self-control. That was on a Wednesday night. A Thursday night, I'm sitting in the break room, and one of my coworkers, now my back is to the entrance of the break room, one of my coworkers comes up, and he was running his fingers on top of my head. And everybody in the back was laughing. I didn't know what was going on. So he came around and he was giggling, and I just laughed it off. But then he went over to the counter and he got 3 packets of sugar in those little white packets. He opened them up, and I'm sitting at a table. He opens them up, tears them open, and pours them in front of me, right in my personal space. And I'm looking at him. What is he doing? I thought he was preparing his food or something. I don't know. But then he went over and got a straw, a plastic straw. So he went and got the straw. He bent over like he was going to snort some coke. And he took the straw and blew all that sugar all over my body. All over my body.
Yeah,
Now,
he would
there's
have
other
banged.
employees in the break room.
Yeah, I would have banged.
I sat there. I sat there. The first thought that came to my mind was, don't you know I'm a child of God? That's the truth. That was the very first thought that came to my mind. So I took a minute. I got all that stuff off my clothes. And 3 times I said to him, don't you ever do that to me again. You don't know who I am. Now, each time I said it, it got stronger and stronger. I got up and I walked out of the break room. So I went back, I finished out my shift. I didn't even tell my supervisor. So I called my sister Mary. I told her what happened. She said, what? She said, you didn't fight him, did you? I said, no. She said, this is what you do. You write a letter. And then I called Pastor Valerie. I explained it to her. She said, you make sure they discipline him, whatever you do.
Yes.
So I got up at 4:30 the next morning, wrote a 3-page letter, went into Costco. I was there before the store opened, gave it to my manager. She gave it to the facilities manager, the overall manager, who had a meeting with me. They did an investigation. Do you know my letter got up to the vice president level? The vice president level. I got a formal response back. If that guy does that to me or any other employee, he'll be terminated. This guy got 25 years. And if he retaliates, he'll be terminated. Okay?
That means you wasn't terminated then.
Yes.
Because technically, you can file charges.
Yes.
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 And so I didn't see that guy for a week. So they took corrective action. They suspended him for a week. However, if I would have did it my way, jumped up, knocked the guy out, punched him out, I would have been locked up.
Right.
I would have lost my job. All those good benefits, all that time invested, I would have lost it all. My witness for Christ would have been shot. My witness for my family would have been shot, and all the employees there. Instead, 2 days later, I was back in membership, got a pay raise. I was working 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Now my working hours are 10 p.m. to 5 p.m. In 24 hours almost, my whole shift turned around.
Wow.
Why? Because I did it God's way.
Yes.
I didn't lose my self-control.
Right,
And so I was a good steward of my job.
right.
Okay?
That's a testimony.
Now, 10 years ago, maybe, I would have fought that guy, but not now. I don't have to act like that. So, we put God first, just like Matthew 6:33 says. Yes, sis. Angela?
When you was talking, good evening. When you was talking, I was thinking about a story. I saw a clip of a story of a guy from Los Angeles, African American guy. I think he had like 4 or 5 siblings, and his mom was cleaning up buildings or whatever to take care of him and his siblings, and she was really struggling. So he quit school and he started working in a school as a janitor, and excuse me. And while he was there, he started going night school, and after a while, anyway, not immediately, then ultimately started going to college or whatever. So he was a janitor for 27 years.
Wow.
And just going to school, and then ultimately he became the principal of that school.
Wow.
So when you was talking about that, that inner promotion, when you just kind of seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, all other things will be added unto you. So that story came to my mind.
Thank you for sharing that. Because sometimes, like when we pray and ask for something, it may seem like it's taking a very long time. But if we wait patiently for God to do his thing, I remember listening to Joyce Meyer one day. She said that we can pay the pain of waiting for God, or we can pay the pain of sorrows. Meaning that we can get ahead of God and take things into our own hands and do things our own way. But on the back end of that, if we do it our way, there could be a lot of pain and sorrow.
Like
So-
Abraham and Sarah.
Huh?
Like Abraham and Sarah with Hagar.
Yeah, they took things into their own hands, and then, possibly all this stuff going on today as a result of that nation. So, it's better to wait for God. So we want to put God first. Say, Lord, this is your job. This is your job. Please order my steps. This job belongs to you. You gave me this job. Even if you don't, we'll get to that. So, submit to authority. So, be humble, what kind of employee are we? Are we always grumbling? I don't like that boss. I wish they get rid of him. Why she got the good job? Or why didn't I get promoted? You know, are we grumblers? Now, every job, of course, it's not the perfect job, but it's where God has us. And so we got to try to find ways of trying to make it the best out of that job. Because God, He put us there. Everything comes from God. He's sovereign, right? He's sovereign. And so wherever we are in our lives, He allowed it to happen, right? Is that a true statement?
Yeah, right.
He's sovereign. God is sovereign. So He allows things to happen. We make the choice. We'll make a choice.
As to how we respond.
How we respond or what we want to do is our choice, but He's going to be there with us all along the way. And wherever we wind up, He's going to be there, even if it's a bad situation. But He can even turn the bad into good if we respond to Him the right way. So be humble with your supervisors or whoever is in charge. You know, demonstrate respect, humility. You know, there's a way to be tactful. Then have high spirits and have a happy countenance. In Daniel 6:3, it says that Daniel was placed in charge of over all of these different priests. He was selected to be in charge because Daniel had a right spirit. So when we go to work, are we happy? Or do we have a sad looking face? Do we walk in there with our head down and all grudgingly? I hate this job. I hate coming in here. Or are you upbeat? Hey, what's up? How you doing? Good seeing you. I mean, what type of?
It depends on the day. I
It
mean,
does.
sometimes, I mean, I'm so exhausted. I barely get to the door. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to go in public. I'm just being honest here. And other times, but I usually try to be very cousin speak and all the time. But there are some days I go and I'm tired. I'm tired. And I don't go in public. But I come in respectful, and gotta be pleasant, but I'm not gonna be probably have everything going,
It won't be like that every day, but for the most part, I'm saying, what is our attitude like? What do you like on your job? I mean, is your personality coming out? Is it of a peaceful type person, a pleasant person, or are you just mad that you're there? I mean, what kind of person?
Only on payday am I mad.
For me, I like my job because I meet so many different people. I mean, I meet hundreds of people, all races, nationalities. And I get a chance to talk to a lot of people. That's why I like my job. But I'm also thankful for my job. As I was explaining to you, I didn't like pushing carts or cleaning restrooms. I didn't like that. But I'm thankful to God for my job because it gives me something to do. It keeps me busy. And that's the other thing. Working keeps your mind active. I don't know. It keeps your mind active. It keeps your body active. You're moving. You're continually learning something. It's all good. Those are good things. And when you get older, you're going to find out that you're going to want to work. I used to always wonder why super rich people Why do they keep working? Well, some of them do, but they're keeping working because it just could be for social, just to be out among people, an outlet, just to get out and do something. Yes?
I've been retired for 3 years in the school system, but now I do work part-time at Marshall's in retail, and I just love it because I'm meeting people every day, and it does keep my mind and body active.
Yes, it keeps you young.
It does.
That's what it does. If a person was retired and stayed at home and didn't have any outlets, they would waste away. They would waste away. So working is a means of getting out and being productive. You feel like you're a part of society. You feel like you're contributing, right? That's what it's all about. And then don't complain. In the book of Jude, complaining about stuff on the job, find solutions.
Yeah. I got a scenario. Okay, so today, like a good hour ago. So, you know, my mom and my dad aren't here. But my dad is upstairs, and I was on my way home from school, and I didn't know my mom wasn't going to be here, and my dad was going to be upstairs. So I'm like, hey, so since y'all not going, right, can I stay home? So my mom, but I didn't really ask that question, but I was, you know, trying to infer it. And then I was just complaining to myself, like, well, I don't feel like going because I'm tired. I didn't have any homework. I just was tired and I wanted to take a nap and, like, I don't know. So I was complaining, like, I don't want to go here and I'm hungry and nobody's there. And I don't know, right? But then I got here, and on the way here, I got cheese, and it made me happy, and it's a good conversation.
Oh, excellent. And I like that because an opportunity was created. You got happy, you got some food, and you got all this good conversation. So that's a good point. So that's an excellent good point because complaining will make a person miss some opportunity.
Right.
So if there's a project or promotion coming up at work, and if there's an employee always complaining, who is that boss going to think about?
Not that person.
He's not going to think about that person.
You know, you can take every time you go to somebody,
I got one now.
a reason why they can't do it, why you always ask me, why this, why that. So you guys know, I don't even want to bother with you at all. You just pass it on, go to the next person. The person that says,
She had been sick for like 3 days.
I'll do it. They may not want to do it, but because they're cheerful, they don't mind doing it. They don't mind going to them. But you hate sometimes because those people always going to get asked to do stuff. But those are the people that also, if they apply for a promotion or apply for something, they probably would more than likely get it. Because not the complainer, because nobody wants to be around. Plus, who wants to be around a complainer all the time?
Exactly.
Okay, I have one more, like, really, really personal experience about working and stuff. So I didn't have a real job. I had a summer job, but like in church and stuff. So everybody, well, maybe not everybody, but I dance, right? And sometimes, you know, at church, because I'm like the youth, okay? So it's just, and then like, you know, the little kids under me, so they always like look up to me before they would like look up to Miss Leandra because I'm closest to their age. So, but then sometimes it falls kind of pressure on me because it's really hard. And I'll be complaining like, I don't feel like dancing. Or I'll be like, well, I don't feel like being a youth leader, but it's not really a choice, but it's just, I complain, not all the time, but sometimes because I fall under pressure because when I make mistakes, I don't want them to look up at me, and it's hard sometimes, but then, like, I be thinking about it because, like, some of them on the team, they be like, well, I want to dance like Danasia, and I'm just like, oh, well, that's so nice. And then I don't think about it that way when I'm complaining, but then when I complain, I'll be like, well, let's think about this. Once they grow up and they get good, I can take a break and they can, lead the way for the other people.
Well, I think you made a lot of good points there. I look at you as being a role model for the little kids.
I do.
You're a role model. You're an outstanding dancer, and you're that bridge between the smaller kids and the grown-ups. So the younger kids are going to look to you. But even if you make a mistake, they'll say, well, she made a mistake and it's okay. So if I make a mistake, it's going to be okay, and she'll help me fix that. So it's okay for that. But you're in a great place. Actually, you're in a place of honor, because you are. When you get older, they're coming up. You're going to something bigger and better probably, but you're being a role model right now. You're in a great position. See, to be able to dance like you guys do, and to lead those. That's one of the things I'm so impressed about the church is you've got these kids are being trained up, like the Bible says, and they're reading scripture in the church. They're praying in the church. These young kids, and you look at TV and you got these other kids cursing and acting stupid, but no. You do it God's way, you can train these kids up to be great kids. So you're in a very honorable position. That's my opinion. So,
I like it.
I wanted to add, they also look at our commitment.
Yes.
Being committed.
yes, very committed. Every Sunday you're there,
Right.
and it's a lot. You come here and you practice, and then you have to do all of that in church. You got to get all those special clothes. That's a lot of work, So it's highly commendable. So be thankful for your job. No matter what kind of job you got, it may not be the most prestigious job. Pushing carts is not a prestigious job. Don't get me wrong. Hey, but I'm thankful for my job. Because, go ahead, sis.
I was gonna wait till you finish. No, I'm sorry.
Because it's led to bigger and better things.
Right.
What do we learn from Luke 16:2? You be faithful with the little, and then with that little, if you take care of that little stuff, it's going to grow up to something bigger.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sis.
I was just wondering how long before you got the promotion, before you pushing carts and cleaning the bathroom.
I was at Costco for 7 months. I'm in membership now. There's people been there for years who complain about working the entrance door, the exit door. All they gotta do is stand there and click people in and check cards, and they're complaining about that. They don't know it's 1,000 people out there waiting to get that job. To stand there and click people in, just complaining about doing that job. See, you got to be thankful for where you are now. So I was there on my 7th month, but see, because God did it, because I responded the right way when He put me through some testing. So that's how I look at it. Go the extra mile. So Christ said, you help a brother out. You walk another mile with the brother. So on your job, do a little bit extra. Be that role model. If your boss say, hey, can you do this? Oh, they call on me too much. You know why they calling on you too much? Because they know that you can do that job. They always call on me. Be thankful for that. Go the extra mile. Do a little bit more. Be at work on time. Because your bosses will remember that kind of stuff. They'll say, okay, I know who I can count on. Why you raise your hand, sis?
Well, don't boundaries come into play sometimes?
What kind of boundaries?
Well, you have coworkers who don't do their part, and so your reward for being the worker that does your part is to do the person that is the slacker's part. Is that always fair? Is that always what God wants?
I'm gonna let Paulette answer that.
You're not doing for them. You're doing for your glory into heaven, and it has nothing to do with them. When you are pleasing them, you're doing worldly stuff. But when you are doing what is right, what is expected of you, and what is God-like.
Okay, I'm saying okay, this is my opinion. Okay, so that way I won't make anybody. If I'm a social worker and at the agency, I have kids to see, you're a social worker and you have kids to see, I'm seeing my kids, I'm making it happen, and I'm not driving, and you drive and you can't see your kids, I got to see your kids and my kids. I have to advocate for myself. So what I'm saying is, isn't there a time when you have to say to the powers to, administration, listen.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, and so that's why I was being silly when I first started, but now I said, wait a minute, let me take a different posture. So yeah, I was just saying that in terms of what you were saying, I definitely concur that, we should go the extra mile and be willing to be a team player and be supportive. But I do know that in my job, there are times when you have to say, listen, something is amiss here. I'm making it happen. I'm being consistent. I'm being faithful, but I'm noticing. So, so I just was saying that, you might want to add a little caveat.
Oh, you're right about that. And you go to your boss and say, hey, look, I've got 15 cases and I got to go see these kids, but this person over here got 15 cases. 8 cases, and I'm pulling their weight. They're not picking up their weight. Q.
I just wanted to comment on when you're talking about complaining and being thankful, when you compare the two, and I've worked for years just watching folks, the complainers, they both take energy. It takes a lot of energy to complain. It takes much less to be thankful. And the people that are complaining, they're usually ones that are sicker. They have more problems, personal problems in their life. So you're sort of drawing, when you're complaining a lot, you draw that negativity around yourself. There's some people I don't even want to be close to at all, because it's something, it's like the feeling something's gonna fall on them, so I just, that I guess you just have to learn from experience, and going that extra mile, even sometimes when you are tired. Again, God has a way of rewarding us. Something that maybe we weren't expecting happens. So all I can say, try it.
Exactly. Go ahead, sis.
And this is the last point. I definitely don't want y'all to misunderstand. A young lady in my office was out sick for 2 weeks, and she has, not been able to see any of her kids. I don't drive right now. And when she came in, I said, listen, I will help you do some of your visits, but they have to be in the city, because I can't get but so far out, because I know she had some that's kind of like in DC and stuff like that. And she was like, well, and when I said it, I was like, you're going to have to help me, Lord. But I know it's going to be hard on her, because she was legitimately sick. I know she's a good worker. I know she has integrity. So I was like, you know what? I want to have her back, because she's still sick, but she knows she came in because she knows she got to get it done. So, I'm hoping that it's going to be easy for me, but I was like, it was, but I think it was amazing, because I'm new to the unit, that particular unit. All of the other people drive, and ain't none of them offer to do anything. But that's their girl. They eat lunch together every day. I don't eat with them. But I just said, well, it was the right thing to do, because she's still sick, but she came in because she knows she had to see these kids, So I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that's going the extra mile. Yeah. But if there's a unequal balance of work issue, take that to the supervisor. Say, hey, this is not right. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not complaining.
Right.
That's legitimate. Complaining, just a continual dripping of the same thing every single day, just being disgruntled with your job, that's what the Lord doesn't like. So also, don't demand to be promoted. I should have had this job. I worked my butt off. This is mine. That's not what God says. In Proverbs 25:6-7, God says, let the king say, come up here. Like the king will say, I recognized you. You come up here and sit by me. That's the better way than a person demanding to be put in a position. So Proverbs 25:6-7 tells us that don't be putting no demands on nobody. Because they will forget about you. You don't do that. Let them recognize you. Go ahead, lady.
I want to say something. I had a school project in I forget what it is, but I had a project, and I typically don't like working in projects or on certain things with other people, depending on the person. Not less I know how they work and stuff, but it's like a teacher assigns a certain. I always seem to get assigned with the people who don't do that work. So I had to literally do the whole project, the PowerPoint, essay, everything by myself. And I was for a good 2 days, I was trying to tell the teacher, like, I don't feel as though I should put that in there, even though they're in a group. I don't want to put that name on this project because they didn't have any part to do with it. And the teacher just kept saying, well, I'll deal with it. I didn't want to hear that at the time. I'll deal with it. I want you to tell me something like, well, you don't have to put that name on it. But I wound up putting that name on it. And the teacher at the end, I got a 92, y'all. But at the end, the teacher was like, he gave me extra points because he was like, I recognize that you were the only one out of 4 people doing all of the work. He gave me 10 extra points. So really, I had 102.
Excellent. See what God did?
Yeah.
Paula?
What I want to say to her is that though you did all the work and felt like the teacher didn't acknowledge it, when it's time to, how do I want to say it? Stand and deliver the information that they gained from doing the project, they don't have anything to say.
Right.
So the teacher knows.
That's right.
You don't have to cover for them. Sure, their name was on the paper, but as sometimes teachers ask other questions when you are presenting your project. And if the other people have nothing to say, they get it. They get it.
Did you have to present?
Yup. But he didn't act like we had to. It's hard to explain, but he didn't ask any questions. But he knew, like he said, he already knew. But yeah, I got.
And sometimes your work sounds like you.
Yeah.
So they'll know who wrote it.
Yeah.
Who, because it'll speak you. And that's why it's so important for you to be you and not be somebody else. Because that's an effort you have to put in to be somebody different. But if you are you, 100% of the time, people will know your work.
Yeah. Thank you. And on that note, I don't know if you guys can see this, but we do everything unto God. We demonstrate excellence. Whatever we do in word or deed, we do it our very, very best on the job. I got a wake-up call from this class. When I first started coming here to Bible study, Pastor Valerie gave the class a project. And I went home and did my homework, but I wrote mine out on a yellow pad, and it was all scribbly and everything, and I said, I can wing it. When I came back to class that next week, people coming up here with all these typewritten, two-page. I got up here with mine. I said, I ain't coming like this no more. That was a wake-up call, because I saw the excellence in this class. I said, I ain't coming like this no more. So now I do my stuff. I just do it right now. I'll never forget that. I say, no, I ain't coming back like that no more. So whatever we do, because God is looking at us, and somebody made a point, don't worry about what people see. He's looking at everything that we do. That's what's important. Okay, Lady D, get the next slide, please. So what are the rewards for working? We're bringing glory to God. And notice these things, it's not about us, a personal reward. We're looking at spiritual stuff. We're bringing glory to God. We're making God shine, right? We're making God look good. We're looking good, but to win people over to Christ, people are always watching us to see how we respond in different situations. We're bringing glory to God. Acts 20:35 says, we're going to be a blessing to others. We're going to bless other people's lives. Believe it or not, even if you don't know it, you're pouring into people's lives. They're looking at you just like the team is looking at you, Lady D, you and the young girls at church. They're looking at you. Ecclesiastes 2:24 says, enjoy the fruits of your labor. God says that when we work, enjoy what you do. When I mow my lawns and I trim those bushes and everything is all cleaned up and done, I look at my lawn and say, wow, that looks nice. I just love that. And when you do a project at work and you know you've done it good, and you look back and say, hey, that is so nice. You're enjoying the fruit of your labor. That's what Solomon told us in Ecclesiastes. And then John 10:10 says, Jesus says, we're to have life more abundantly. You know, a person doesn't have to be a millionaire to enjoy life. You can, a person, if we did it God's way, we can make it off of 20 grand a year, 30 grand a year, because God will find a way to stretch that money out. Your car won't break down, because what did he say in Malachi 3:10? He says, I will rebuke the devourer, meaning your stuff won't be breaking down. Your clothes will last. Your food, I don't know how your food will, your refrigerator will stay full. Your bills will get paid. I don't know how he does it, but he will stretch it out. He will stretch it out. So we're supposed to be living this abundant life. I mean, we may not be able to travel to Europe every single year, but you may get to Europe with some other way, I don't know, but it may not be first class. Maybe you'll get there with the group, I don't know, but you'll get to Europe. But what I'm saying is God will make a way. He will make a way for us to enjoy our lives, you know, and that's just if we give him our time. He says he will open up those windows and pour us out a blessing. He says that blessings will run and overtake us. We don't have to go looking for something. They'll come to us. We don't have to go find blessings. They'll run us over. Okay? Then he says in Luke 16:2, to be a good steward of work so that we can keep what we have. Remember that story? If you don't take care of what you have, you're going to lose it. God will take it away. Say, okay, you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to take care of this. Okay, I'll give it to somebody else. He'll take it away. So we have to be careful with that. Okay, Lady D. So what are the detriments of not working? So God in Proverbs uses the ant as an example. The ant is a planner. You know, it plans for the winter. It gathers its food and, you know, takes everything underground for the winter and stuff. And the ant is a hard worker. And, you know, the ant is diligent at what it does. You know, it does what's necessary. So God gives us an example of an ant as a very hard worker. And if we don't work, it's going to lead to poverty. That's the danger. If we don't go to work, it'll lead to poverty. So, and we all know it's not a good thing. Proverbs 18:9 says that if we waste the gift of work, we waste the gift. We're wasting something that God has given us for our benefit. And then if we don't work, we don't have no money coming in, so we can't give into the kingdom of God. I mean, we may be able to serve, but I mean, we won't be able to bring any money in. And a closed hand, if your hand is closed, what you gonna get back? If this is shut tight, go ahead.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so thinking about it, okay, so he only asked for 10%.
Well,
If you think about it, 10% is not a lot. So how, if you have like, maybe not a really giant church like some churches are, but you may have like a little one, how is everything expected to like get done if it's only a little bit, like 10%?
well, if I make, let's say I make $5,000 a month, right? What's 10% of that? $500. Whoops. So that's just an example. So $500. So what if everybody in the church made $5,000 per month?
Well, when you put it that way.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot. But then, and the pastor's going to teach on this, but sometimes there are decisions to be made, for instance. Like, does the mortgage get paid? Do I get my tithe? Or the gas and the electric? Or do I buy food? There's
some things you just can't live without now.
But that's another discussion. That's another discussion. But people make decisions and they have to, they have to make decisions. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Did you have an input?
Just the first part, to me, if you're not working, not only does it lead to poverty, but it leads to death, early death.
Yes, early death. That's a good point. So, giving, and there's all kinds of ways to give. If you got an elderly neighbor, take some food to an elderly neighbor or something, Lord. If you got a talent to fix something, somebody needs something fixed in the house, you can fix it. That's giving. But God specifically says to bring the tithe to the storehouse. So it's a commandment, but it's also an act of worship, and it's a demonstration of faith and love. And a requirement, because it's all about stewardship. So, and then families will suffer. Like you were saying, it could lead to death. Hunger and death if we don't, give. So, next slide, please. So, any questions on the stewardship of working and how important work is and how God looks at work? It all goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. Work is our Garden of Eden. That's our garden. Your home is your Garden of Eden. Is it orderly, chaotic, whatever? Is it protected? Is it being cultivated, developed? Your job, whatever you have in your life, how are we taking care of whatever we have in our lives? That's what's important.
But it's okay when we get tired, you absolutely not, right?
That's a choice.
That's a choice.
That's a choice.
That's all I mean, but then we were saying it leads to early death and all this kind
No,
of stuff.
it's okay.
Can I
No.
retire now?
See, I don't mean it that way.
Yeah.
Because I believe in retirement. I can't wait. But what I think of is a lot of the, I guess, the younger generation they weren't really taught to work. So they try to do a quick hustle.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work out. So we're bearing a lot of folks that aren't working. That's what I was talking about.
Okay,
No, I believe in retirement.
okay, I read it now.
No, if you want to retire, if you want to retire and stay home and just travel,
Chill.
there's nothing wrong with that. Just travel or hang out with the girls through the week and go to the movies and just do regular stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
And it's okay to be a homemaker too, so yeah.
Yeah. Sure. So,
Well, somebody not have kids.
being a homemaker,
Take care.
yeah, being a homemaker,
That's work.
a wife
That's right.
with children, that's a very important job.
I said, man,
That's work.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. So next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna talk about for the love of money. I'd like you to read 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 9 and 10. And any questions about anything? Any questions? We did good on our time.
wonderful.
So let's pray. Anybody taking up an offering? Okay. We'll do that and then we'll pray.
Are you gonna send this out?
Yeah, I'll send it to the pastor and ask her to send it out.
Okay.
I'll do that.
'Cause I missed it.
Okay.
And I know I had a lot of input. I save it for next week.